Greetings, this is Alex Hernandez working on CertMaster Perform Network Plus N1009. This video is about the lab activities we have for cable troubleshooting in our Module 2 for Network Plus, supporting cabling and physical installations. So this is the last series of the videos for 2.6 cable troubleshooting. And we have 6 labs that we're going to go through. I'm going to make one video for each of the labs so you can follow through. And let's go ahead and launch our lab. In this lab, you explore different methods for troubleshooting network communication problems that may result from such things as bad network cards and cables. While troubleshooting, you will use the pin command, the link network activity lights on the network cards and switches, and the Windows Settings app. Use the exhibits to see the network diagram and wiring schematics for the network as needed. We're going to complete this lab as follows. View the current state of the first 6 ports on the Cisco switch and its accompanying patch panel. Okay, so we're going to go into the networking closet in the hardware. And I'm going to do a zoom in for the switch so we can get a good view of all the ports. And this is a good approach. So we zoom into the Cisco switch. And what we have here is a legend that indicating that when we have activity lights, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit to emphasize our first 6 ports that we have in this lab. We can see that the port 3, 4, 5, 6 have the connectivity and activity light. Connectivity and activity light. Connectivity and activity light. While ports 1, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2 doesn't appear to be connected. Port 1, it is connected, but there is no connection link and there is no activity light. Port 3, it's connected, but no activity light. I would say this light is even off. It doesn't look like the light is on. And if we look at these disconnected ports at the bottom, the light looks the same, like the light is off. So these ports have no connection. And that's one of the parts we're going to troubleshoot in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and zoom out so we can have a view of all the ports. That's about it. And we're going to proceed to answer the questions 1 through 3 questions. So we come here to the upper corner and we look at the first question that indicates which of the following ports on the Cisco switch are plugged in and turned on. As I mentioned before, we can see the ports 4, 5, and 6. Those are the ones that have the connection, active, and activity. Okay? 4, 5, 6. And we can see the number right here at the very top. 4, 5, 6. So we're going to select those 3 ports. Which of the following ports on the Cisco switch are showing signs of network traffic? Well, the ones that are showing network traffic are the blinking lights on 4, 5, and 6 only. Which of the following ports on the Cisco switch are plugged in but show no sign of power nor network activity? Okay, so the ones that are plugged in is 1 and 3, and 1 and 3 don't show any sign of activity. So we are done with question 1 to 3. Let's go ahead and minimize this one and move into the next part. Determine which computers are plugged into ports 1 and 3. From the Cisco switch, select the wires into ports 1 and 3, look at the patch panel, and then we can answer question 4. So we can click on port 1 and we can see it highlights the both ends of the cable. We can see that port 1 is connected to the executive computer, but if we look at the bottom panel, it's telling us port 1 is on the switch and the other end of the cable is on the patch on the port 1. So this is also a way of confirming our visuals. Okay, so let's go ahead and point to cable 3. The cable 3 is connected to the Office 1. And we can confirm here port 3 on the patch panel. And this is the Office 1, port 3. And the other one is connected, the other end is connected to the switch in the port 3. That's exactly where we are. So let's go ahead and answer question 4. Which computers are attached to ports 1 and 3 respectively? And as we can see, the computers is Executive and Office 1. So we're going to go ahead and answer this. And that's our answer. So let's go ahead and minimize this one and continue. From the IT administration workstation, ping the following IP addresses on the table. So how do we get to the admin? We're going to click on the floor overview, and then we're going to run into IT admin computer, and then we're going to launch terminal, and we can expand this window, bring it to the bottom, and then there we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and ping Office 1 and Executive and all the list of IPs on the table. For the first one, we get 192.168.0.30, and this is an unreachable host. We move to the executive, ping 192.168.0.34, and again, that's an unreachable host. We move into the corp server, and that is 192.168.0.10. Oops, I made a mistake on the IP. Let's do that again, 192.168.0.10. And that is a reachable host, 0% loss. We move into building a router, ping 192.168.0.5, also successful connection to the internal interface of the router, 198.28.561, and that is a successful connection. We move into the external interface of the router, 198.28.56.17, and that's also a successful connection. And lastly, we ping the ISP, 163.128.1.1. And we have a good mapping of connections right here. And just to illustrate this, we can open the exhibit, and this is the logical mapping or physical mapping, I would say, because we don't have all the logical information in the connections. And this is what we Office 1, and then we went into executive, and then we went to the corp server, and we are doing everything from the IT admin, right? So we went to the corp server that is right here, connected to the same switch, to the same patch panel. All of the connections come to the patch panel. From the patch panel comes to the switch, and from the switch we come to the server. Then we also connect to the building A router, and we move into the building A router that is also connected to the same switch and is also successful ping. Then we move into the router's internal interface, the CorpNet router, and the internal interface is this one, and then we move into the external interface, which is this one. And then lastly, we ping the ISP with the 128.128.11, and that will be our, this is an IP that we don't have in the, oh yes, right here. This is the 163.128.1.1. So that is just the gateway, I assume, for this router. Okay, this is just to have a picture of the office that we are dealing right here, and that's how the structure is. And we're working on the IT admin at this very moment. So let's go ahead and we ping all of that. So now we're gonna move into from the IT admin, check the network connectivity to, so we're gonna go to the settings app, and we right click, we do settings, network and internet, and we can tell that we are indeed connected on the status. Okay. Then we're going to select the Ethernet icon to see the details of the connection. And this is, we have assigned a manual IP. This is our IP. And this is the remaining info of the connection. We can close the settings app, and then we move into number 5. From the hardware view of the IT admin, check the network connectivity and activity by viewing the network cards link. So let's go ahead and look at the network. We're going to go to the back of the computer, and we can see the activity light on the network card. We have the activity and we have the connection. Remember, this connection status light is giving you the connection from one point to another, and the system is on. And this one is just giving us the activity of packets. Okay, above the IT admin, we select back. It's indicating network activity is light, and these two lights match in the Cisco switch and match panel. So these two lights match what you saw when you viewing the cables connecting the IT admin to the Cisco switch. So let's go back to the Cisco switch, and we are looking for the IT admin, which is this one. And the IT admin is connected to port 5, and port 5 also is showing activity and status. So we are good to go here. Now we're gonna move into the exec computer. So we're gonna go to the floor overview, and then we're gonna go into the exec. And from here, we're gonna right click, start settings, network and internet, and we can see the status that we are not connected, right? So we're gonna go ahead and close the settings app, and we move to step 7. From the hardware view of the exec, so we go to the hardware view, and this is the computer we are working on. We're gonna check the back, and we can see that we don't have a cable on the integrated NIC card, but we do have an extra card on this computer, and I'm gonna zoom in to give you a good visual on this, and we can see that the connection is there, but the activity is not. The activity light is off, right? So we can see that, and we're examining the link lights. Okay, so we have 3 possible scenarios right here. We have a faulty or disconnected cable, which is not the case. We have a bad network card or a faulty disabled switch port. Okay, so remember, we're troubleshooting the executive office, and the executive office, going back into the networking classes, is the port 1. And this is the port 1, we have no activity. Okay, We go back to the executive office and on the hardware side, and this is our finding. The network card has no light activity even though we have a cable. So according to these suggestions, there is a possibility of a bad nick by dragging the network cable from the existing card to the onboard port. So what we're going to do is going to change the connection on this one, and we're just going to remove it from here and point it to the onboard network card. And now we have a visual of lights. We have blinking for activity and we have the status of the connection. If we go back to the patch panel and switch, we can see that the first port is now working. We have the connection and the activity. Okay, so let's go back to the executive hardware side and we are here. So we fixed the issue in this one. Apparently, we drag the cable to the Ethernet on board, and we're gonna go ahead and answer question 7. Oh, we missed actually answering 5 and 6, and that was somewhere question 5 and 6. I missed the instruction for that. So it's gotta be somewhere on step 5 or step 6. Okay, let's go ahead and answer these ones. Which computers could not be reached using the ping command? Okay, so these questions will be answered once we work into the IT admin. The computers that were not reached was the first one and second, which is the office and exec, right? So these are the ones. All right, and then what do the results of the last ping test tell you about the network? So we could ping the ISP, the last ping. We could ping the router external and internal interface. We could ping the other building's router. And we could also ping the server, the corp server. So that is telling us that the connection to the ISP is working. All the systems successfully pinged are functioning, and that is a fact. Two of the computers, in this case Office 1 and Exec, that had a non-unreachable ping, are the ones, the two workstations do not have access to the network. Now we move to question 7. Question 7, what was the issue? And we go back to the executive hardware side, and we fix this issue, and we are supposed to answer question 7. Okay, question 7. Okay, so we move the cable from the bad NIC to the onboard card, right? So what is the conclusion that was here? The network card was bad. So this is our response for this one. And we are done with the questions. So let's continue walking to the lab, minimize that. And we are on number 9. From the exec operating system, we're going to check for network connectivity. We already have it and we can tell, but let's go ahead and check it. And the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna go into the ping command to access the following computers. So we're gonna ping the admin and we're gonna ping the ISP, right? So we're gonna launch the ping command. And we're going to do the first one, ping 192.168.0.10, which is the terminal in the admin. And then we're going to ping the ISP with the IP 163.128.1.1, and we have both connections successful. So the issue has been solved. Okay, right click start, and we go into the network settings, and we can see that effectively we are connected. We close this one, and we move to number 10. In the networking closet, check the link status for exec. From the top left, select floor overview, network closet. And we already checked this one. This is our connection that I confirmed that is working. We zoom in into the Cisco switch, and we have all working. Now, number 11, and here is the trick. We have to pay close attention to this one. In number 11, from the hardware view, Office 1, check for network connectivity. Floor 1 overview, and then we're going to go into Office 1, and then we're going to select the hardware, and we're going to check the connectivity going through the back of this computer, and we can see the connection is dead. We have the cable connected, but no status or activity light, right? And is what is confirming here. So the possible causes is faulty or disconnected cable, which is not the case because we can see the cable is connected. Might be a faulty cable. A bad network card, and this is an onboard network card. We don't have any expansion slots. Faulty disabled switch port, and let's troubleshoot it at the workstation level first before moving into the switch. So we're gonna test the connections for Office 1. We're gonna unplug the existing Ethernet cable from the wall plate, and this is the wall plate again. We click on the cable, and the cable one end is to the neck, the other cable is to the wall plate, and it's also telling us right here port on the wall and the motherboard, right? So we unplug it, and then from the back of the computer, and we unplug it. Okay, from the shelf, expand cables, and we're gonna replace the cable. We're gonna select a 6A Cat 6A cable. It's asking us to use a good known cable, and 6A cable Cat 5E, we have Cat 6A. So we have only one cable. The other one is Cat 6A RJ45. These two cables are the same. Which one is a good cable? We don't know. We need to test it, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick this one, and then we're gonna drag it to the Ethernet port on the wall plate. One end, right? And the second end to the Ethernet port in the computer. So we bring it here and drop it. And then we take a closer look, and we still see no activity or no connection lights. The link and network activity lights still don't show an active connection. So the cable was not the problem, right? We still need to find out if the network interface card is the problem, but that's very unlikely. So we're gonna move on and troubleshoot in a more advanced. From the wiring closet, test the network patch cable. So we're gonna go back into the network closet, and we move on into the patch cable. And the patch cable, the connection in question is Office 1. So this is our cable right here. And then we're going to go to the remove the existing Office 1 cable from Office 1 and port 3. So we're going to disconnect from port 3 and from Office 1. We drop the cable here. And then from the shelf, we're going to select CAT6A RJ45. CAT6A RJ45. There is one cable. This is CAT5E. And that is the only cable. That is the only cable we can pick, right? CAT6A RJ45, right? So we're going to select it and point to the Office port on the patch panel. Oops, let me put it back. Office port on the patch panel. And then we're going to select port 3 on the other side. And now we have a new cable installed. And right away, we can see our blinking light and status light are alive. So we just solved the issue. Uh, the easiest way to troubleshoot, you start with the cables, right? The link and network activity lights on port 3 indicate an active connection. We fixed the problem, right? So this step is very important because sometimes this lab, for some reason, marks it wrong. We can tell that our connection is alive, and we can go into the Office 1. Um, well, that's the next step. Okay, so let's move on. From the Office 1, test the network connection to the following devices. Okay, so we're gonna go into the Office 1 and we're gonna select the terminal and we're gonna launch our input here to test Office 1. And on the Office 1, select Office 1, right click start. Okay, so we're gonna ping 192.168.0.30. We have a successful. We ping the executive 192.168.0.34 successful, and we ping the ISP 163.128.1, and the three connections are successful. With this, we confirm that our issue has been solved. Okay, with these three pings. And again, careful on this step because the CompTIA lab sometimes marks it wrong. So we just did everything according to the instructions. We solved the problem, and on step 14, we confirmed the problem was fixed by having a zero lost connection or a successful ping connection, right? Now let's go ahead and do this optional. Look at the network icon in the notification area, indicates normal connection. And indeed, network settings, and we are now connected. Of course, we click on the internet and we do have an IP and everything's fine. The connected is to the internet, close the settings app, and then we're gonna go ahead and score the lab, right? So we go back to our questions and select score lab. And again, we get a 91 because the Ethernet cable on step on the Office 1 wall plate. We did the instructions, and indeed this problem is still reporting as wrong. This is a mistake CompTIA needs to fix, so I hope any personnel from CompTIA addresses these issues so students don't get confused with these labs. But the problem was solved and everything works fine. Okay, so that's it for this lab. We'll see you in the next lab.